Oh boy, isn't this a little bit inconvenient? Landmark gender dysphoria study censored so no one gets offended. I doubt that was their official reason, but I think it's a fairly accurate one. But let's jump into it. Brown University, so not, some backwater university, of course, has censored findings from its very own study on transgender youth, where they found evidence that teens can be influenced by social media and their circle of friends to want to change their gender identity. 5 days after the university published an article about their study, they removed the article after receiving several community complaints that the study itself was transphobic. Yeah, because transphobic basically means anything that you don't like is basically transphobic. And the study doesn't push the narrative, so therefore it's transphobic. It's interesting, isn't it? Anyway, the study focused mainly on what they describe as a rapid onset gender dysphoria, or gender dysphoria that manifests within days or weeks in teens and young adults rather than presented in one's early youth. The study found that transitioning usually happens after teens use social media and after binge watching videos online about transitioning from one gender to another. I do have a little bit to say about this, but we'll go through after and talk about that. Lisa Littman, Associate Professor of the Practice of Behavior and Social Science at Brown School of Public Health, and the study author stated, "This kind of descriptive study is more important because it defines a group and raises questions from more research. One of the main conclusions that is more research needs to be done. Deceptive studies aren't randomized, controlled trials. You can't tell the cause and effect. You can't tell prevalence. It's going to take more studies to bring in more information about this start." In One Line Forum, parents have been reporting that their children are expressing what is described here as rapid onset gender dysphoria, appearing for the first time during puberty or even after its completion, said Littman. The onset of gender dysphoria seems to occur in contexts of belonging or peer group where one or multiple or even all friends have become gender dysphoric and transgender identified during the same time frame, she added. So what they're basically talking about there is, like, for example, one person comes out and says, I'm trans, I'm trans, for example. And then her friends will think, hey, that's cool. And then they'll obviously say, well, I'm trans too. Or I'm gender fluid. Or whatever it may be. And it becomes more of a peer group pressure as more and more people go through. As more and more people become trans, the remaining group, or the remainers, then obviously feel pressure to change their agenda as well. And it gets into a bit of peer group pressure over social settings. And they've also gone through and said that watching things like YouTube videos, like Riley Dennis's videos and stuff like that, can actually cause people to become trans. That it can influence their behavior, which is understandable because we know that the human brain in young adults is very pliable up to the age of 25. So it does kind of make sense. And it's something that I've always said. For example, you get a girl at a bar, get 3 drinks into her, so to speak, and the saying is that she'll be bi. Every girl is bi after 3 drinks, so to speak. But then when she sobers up, she probably regrets it because she doesn't swing that way. Well, yeah. No, look, at the end of the day, I'm not saying there isn't trans people in the community. Obviously there is. And obviously there are bisexuals and there are lesbians and everything like that. But what they're talking about here is a group where they go through and it's a rapid onset of people becoming trans when there's no history of that in the past. And it's sort of more peer group pressure than it is trans. The study was based on 256 surveys, all completed by parents, that had been published early this month in a peer-reviewed science journal called Placebo One, according to the Washington Free Beacon. Over 62% of teens had previously been diagnosed with mental disability, or at least one mental health disorder. Parents reported that their children exhibited an increase in social media internet use prior to their disclosure of transgender identity. These findings led to the hypothesis that friends and online sources could spread certain beliefs. For example, parents said they witnessed clusters of gender dysphoria outbreaks in the peer groups and their children associated with a inner pattern that seems statistically unlikely based on previous research. Dean of Brown's School of Public Health, Bess Marcus, said in a statement posted online that the university had heard from Brown community members expressing concerns that the conclusion of the study could be used to discredit efforts to support the transgender youth and invalidate the perspectives of members of the transgender community. The university and school have always affirmed the importance of academic freedom and values of rigorous debate informed by research, Marcus continued, noting that all the studies should be debated vigorously, which they don't want. But anyway, the spirit of free inquiry and the school debate is essential to academic excellence, Marcus said. At the same time, we believe firmly that it's also incumbent on public health researchers to listen to multiple perspectives and to recognize and articulate the limitations of their work. As you know, anything after the but or anything before the but doesn't really count sometimes. Look, at the end of the day, what's my view on this? Do I think there are some people that are being pressured by society to become trans because their friends have done it? They want to remain cool in the group, yada, yada, yada. Yes, I do. I'm not saying that is the case with every trans, so obviously, don't go taking it that way. There are obvious trans people around, yes. But at the end of the day, the fact is that there will be some people that will go through and be pressured by society because their friends are doing it, so their friends are doing it, and they don't want to be the left person out. They've been watching videos on online, YouTube videos and stuff like that, and all of a sudden they start thinking, well, hey, I can be gender fluid too. And at the end of the day, yeah, they become trans. Now, obviously, this gets into a problem when you start issuing then puberty blockers for people that actually do this and who aren't actually trans and stuff like that. This is where it gets into a very tricky minefield, and this is where you also get people that are trans, for example, doing YouTube videos, who are prescribing them or doing these videos for young adults or young children even. There is a kids cartoon online, a YouTube video series where it's a puppet and a person, and they go through and they talk about this sort of stuff in a kid-friendly way, and it's marketed towards children. So yeah, I definitely am concerned about what people are trying to fill our kids up with. Look, at the end of the day, if a kid goes through and is actually trans and comes out as trans and works it out on their own with no outside pressure, then fine, good luck to them. But yeah, at the end of the day, when you have YouTube videos and trans community and everybody, not so much normalizing it, but at the end of the day, pushing it onto people in a uncertain way, then yeah, I definitely think there is a problem. There is a big issue, and I do think we will have 5-10 years down the track, people will be regretting their choices when they start regretting taking puberty blockers. God knows what the ramifications of that's going to be, but yeah, a bunch of sterile people, I suppose. But guys, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Do you believe this report should have been buried like it was? Do you think they should have censored it? Or do you think it should be open for everybody to debate? What are your thoughts on trans people and some people in the trans community? Do you think there is a portion of people that are influenced by society and YouTube videos? Or do you think that that's just trying to, blame the trans community or make excuses for the trans community or whatever it may be? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. If this video has been helpful, please smack a like. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe. Apart from that, guys, I'll see you in the next demonetized video from YouTube. Have a great night and enjoy.